My name is Teresa Lockwood. I reside in Vineland, New Jersey, and I'm talking about my persecution in Vineland, New Jersey. I will be recapping back on my persecution since I was a child, beginning around 10, 11 years old, 12 years old. Um, so possibly this may be a couple of parts. I do not know. I have been persecuted by the Vineland, New Jersey Police Department for about 20 years. So my focus is on that. Excuse me, I have an itch. So, I'm going to be talking about, I just want to mind you, first of all, they are hacked into my, internet, my computer, or whatever, editing my videos, deleting and changing comments, um, they're splicing my videos where they're inserting a part of a word of my videos I said in one area. I'm inserting it into another, making it appear that I'm saying the opposite of what I'm saying or speaking against myself. Example would be, they have hacked my computer to make it sound like that I said that I gave false knowledge. Yeah. So, there's different things it's altering. They're changing how they're hacking the videos, so they're basically making it appear that it's not really hacked, where in other places in the video there's like a cutoff, uh, um, um, missing part. I do not edit my videos at whatsoever. I'm not very tech suave, so the only thing I basically have done in editing my videos is basically trimming it. Maybe I get, slacking off, like, not focus near the end or whatever, and I'll like edit it or whatever, or if it's I'm going into other things, and I don't want to end the video. That's the only thing that I have done, because I have basically been slandered and falsely accused as the Vineland Police as reporting their crimes are their crimes that they're committing against me, and they keep saying, "Oh, you did it to yourself." This is what they're doing. It's just harassment. They have refused me. The Vineland, New Jersey Police Department has refused me rights since the beginning for 20 years. Slandering me reports, biasly siding with my abuser, which is slandering me, and then adding their own slanders in reports and attacking me for being a victim of domestic violence and reporting domestic violence. The Vineland, New Jersey Police has kept me in prison to my rapist, my abuser, um, and my abuser, who basically lies about me to make sure I am not heard and claim that is like the witness and the report or whatever. So the thing is, they attacked and destroyed my children. They attacked them in schools. They have attacked them in church. I was first attacked by the Vineland, New Jersey Police Department, being slandered and mistreated for being a victim of domestic violence and a religious woman Christian. Okay? Excuse me. There is much evidence that they have persecuted me, discriminating against me because they are misogynist, because I'm a woman, for one. Number two, I'm reporting abuse, which basically reflects and as I found out through experiences, reflects their very selves as being abuser, which may have provoked an unjust and undue anger against me to attack me for reporting abuse. This is a pattern that I have seen and witnessed among many of the Vineland, New Jersey Police Department. Um, so the thing is I didn't realize it at first, but apparently when I'm sitting there describing the abuse that I was enduring, it's describing them also. So I didn't pick that up until many years later, as I basically got a closer encounter with same behaviors of church. One of them, the main one, first persecuting me in Vineland. I was persecuted outside of Vineland because I was actually a prime witness and victim of a cult since I was a child who were molesting many children. I personally was not molested. There was numerous attempts, which I basically, remove myself from, them. So the thing is that, they have actually attacked me for being a witness. The Vineland Police Department has actually attacked me for being a witness, against, domestic abuse, and pedophilia. So, recapping, I'm just going to mention a few things for right now, in regards to, me being a witness against, cult abuse, pedophilia and other abuses, psychological abuse, and things like that. I was actually persecuted, to silence me as a child, for witnessing against them. So they made every effort. The thing is, even though there is different wording, to silence me, the same actions to make sure that I am not heard, has been practiced by the pedophile, abusers, in the church, cults that I grew up in, which, okay, I'm going to go on. So, and it's reflected the same behaviors around a majority of police, and a majority of the ones that I have encountered, and, courts, and even outreaches for, reaching out, for support for being a victim of domestic violence. I was abused through the system, traumatized through the system. So I'm going to move on from there. The thing is that, so I was being, abused by police first in Vineland. Then I wound up attending a church calling themselves the Vineland First Church of the Nazarene, and mainly abused by the same sort of behaviors, excuse me, to make sure I am not heard, by a false minister, Lee King and Sam Piero at first. So the thing is, later including, a false minister, false pastor, Dawn Reed. So the thing is it actually just spread like leaven, like the sin of leaven, like, all through where their slander of me, basically destroyed me and my family. So the thing is, I was a victim of domestic violence, actually reaching out for help, receiving none, okay, except for vain talk and, a lot of, just, delusional thinking, by a majority of people. The thing is that I was being persecuted by the Vineland Police. I was a victim of domestic violence, and I wound up being a victim of cult abuse again. Now, the thing is, I attended this church because, I tried to reason with people and things like that, and they are unable to reason. It was just continued abuse after abuse after abuse. I have left. I've been asked to come back. Oh, yes, and they're basically using child molester tactics. Basically, oh, she's just seeking attention, which is echoing from basically me trying to save my sister from being molested, by her uncle, who was actually now convicted, a pedophile. Now, I don't know his status. I don't know, if he's, dead or has been released or whatever the case may be. But he molested many children, as they were pulling, foster children, into a foster care of the grandfather. They were basically, claimed, false youth ministers, okay, and basically recruiting children, through the system, and child trafficking to sexually abuse children, as basically, the perpetrator who was arrested, the other one died, he basically was ignored as I was basically speaking against his abuse, as, nothing ever happened. So, the thing is that, I encountered many cultically brainwashed people in the system who could not hear me because of the brainwashing and delusional false ideologies that they go by, basically infected by these false churches. These false churches, by the way, are not Christian. Okay? Christian is anybody who basically is a hearer and doer of the truth that speaks against the what is unjust, oppression, unlawful. Okay, and and is not bound to titles or position whatsoever. Okay, so the thing is, if you notice that Jesus was not basically that, he was against those of people of title and in position, okay, and spoke against them and those in governing positions. So, I'm going to get more into that later on in this video, but I'm trying to give main ideas and put them up front. So the thing is when people encountered each other in regards to me being a victim of domestic violence and police abusing me through the system, and a cult in Vineland, New Jersey. My childhood abuse was not in Vineland, New Jersey, but they basically were like honed in on responding the same way to silence me for being a witness against abuse. Okay, so like I said, they're brainwashed with false ideologies. A majority of this nation is. Well, a majority of many nations are. This is why there's so much like corruption and savagery from them among the nations because of corruption. Okay, so excuse me. I'm trying to prop my. I'm on a laptop and I can't stabilize it. I should grab the pillow behind me, prop it or something. I should have done this. Okay, I'm trying to hold it in place. Sorry about that. So the thing is that, excuse me, like I was saying, I had in Vineland a number of people attacking me. Okay, so there was my spouse who I was forced into a marriage through intimidation, coercion, by my abuser. I was being attacked by police, and I was being attacked by false ministers in Vineland First Church of Nazarene, who is now calling themselves Vineland Nazarene Raymond Church. Okay, so I was not in agreement to their false leader of the cult of John Wesley, as it was very conflicting against Jesus Christ. And so was their false version of Jesus Christ conflicting against Jesus Christ. So was the whatever evil that was going on when I was growing up as a child. Their false version of Jesus Christ, which is not Jesus Christ, was conflicting against Jesus Christ. How I found that out is, well, I was not in agreement to their false teachings. And then when I was around like 12 years old, I was actually made to write many Bible passages over and over and over abusively by these false leaders as a punishment for nothing I did wrong. Okay, so I mean, it was just, for instance, I had an aunt who actually was a very lovely woman that I've experienced as a child. Actually, this was actually before. That was when I was living in Georgia, and this was before I was like abandoned and abandoned to this foster system of their family that I was adopted into. So, I was actually made to write these Bible passages and realized that I was actually in agreement with what I was reading. Now, this is the thing. like I teach, I did wind up becoming a person who basically focuses on basically that of abuse of Bible. The thing is, the teachings in the Bible do the same thing. Basically speaks against, false leaders and abuses of, law and knowledge, deceptions and all these other things, and exposes all these things. This is why there's so many false leaders and deceptive, leaders who abuse the Bible and do not teach what actually is in the Bible. If they are reading it and teach it, they will sit there and make up something that is against what actually the context of the interpretation of the Bible is saying. Of course, there is that forged false Bibles which are trying to use to justify their evils, that were written by cult abusers to silence victims. That is basically the recordings in the Bible is actually, the original is actually against their abuses and against the forged false Bibles. Okay. The thing is, I'm being persecuted because of my rightful interpretation and insights in regards to what is in the Bible, and my spiritual insights among humanity. I'm going to throw this in here because right now I have another, I'm going to get into that later, but there is another, well, there's actually a number of them in Vineland, teacher pretending that they are basically speaking about the law again, stealing my teachings as he actually spoke against them. And this is not the first time. I've been saying this over and over and over again, because he's been doing this over and over and over again throughout the years, as he deliberately falsely interprets the Bible and abuses it to abuse me. He's a Bible abuser, cult abuser, which is my focus, where I basically teach on that of, against, like, corruption society, corruption in government, a lot about government, interpreting the Bible, how it's abused, how it's twisted and perverted to control society and oppress the people and brainwash them and things like that. So the thing is that they again are stealing my knowledge and basically just saying different lines. They're not going into the detail of the depth of teachings that I have on. I'm still teaching the 10 Commandments again. And so they are slandering me, making up things, to falsely claim to speak against me. Well, if you have to make up things or whatever, you're teaching law and not practicing law. Okay. And this is what they do. So the thing is that the knowledge that's in the Bible is so powerful, and so the knowledge in it is so concrete. What happens is the knowledge that is actually recorded in the Bible, not their perversion of it, actually exposes the evil leaders, which is a majority of those who falsely claim to be the Christian leaders. So the thing is that I've been persecuted for being religious. They're perverting that, by the way, and claiming that religion is sin. No, religion is the law that is against sin, by the way. So they're copying my words, and because I said it's common sense, like religion is law and law is against what is sin. You can't sit there and call sin religion. So that's ridiculous. And I'm like, it's common sense. And the thing is that they're actually mocking it, by the way. The Calvary Chapel, who is also joined in and persecuting me, another one of my main persecutors that was used by the Vineland, New Jersey Police Department to actually make up false rules, and whatever he makes up in his delusions, and claim, well, that's what Christians believe. No, we do not. We Christians do not believe that. Christianity is that which is against evil and unjust, okay, and in violation, against what is in violation of objective morals, okay, and the laws of justice, okay. So Christianity is anything that is right and concrete, cannot be moved. So if it can be proven to be false knowledge, not because you speak against it and disagree, but if it can be proven that it is false knowledge, then, and there's a knowledge that comes over it, it's the concrete true knowledge that is Christian. Okay? So the false knowledge cannot be Christianity. That's just that simple. The thing is, there's a lot of people who are evil, like pedophiles, who are hiding under the guise of the Christian name, using Christianity in vain. Okay? Claiming to have an appearance of being godly, okay, and pretending to be of God, yet they are against God and they are evil. Okay? So a Christian can only be that of those who speak the knowledge of God and do what is right. Okay? And so I'm being condemned for that also. They say they don't have to be right, or whatever. I'm actually being persecuted by the Vineland, New Jersey Police Department. And while they make up lies about me and slander me, commit crimes against me, they are claiming, oh, well, it's all, she's only speaking like, she always has to be right in regards to me basically bringing what is right against their evil lies, to sit there and make up their things that, oh, well, they're allowed to be wrong and do whatever is wrong, and I'm not allowed to be right, or whatever, and they're condemning me for being right. So, yes. So, the thing is, yeah, I'm being persecuted by anti-theist atheists, by the way. Mind you, atheist is not always anti-theist. Okay? Atheist sometimes is on a mutual ground because there's a lot of people who claim God, and they present God as their own evil. Okay? And they're against that evil, but it does not make them against God. Okay? So people can't identify, okay, what God is, so they claim to be atheists. So not every atheist basically is evil. There are anti-theist atheists that are basically evil when they basically claim to be atheists to justify their own evils. The thing is, the church people, the churchians, do the exact same thing. They use God's name in vain to claim, oh, this is of God, to basically practice their evil, when everything that is evil is actually against God. So it's about what you do, not what you claim. All right. So I am being persecuted because of my witness to the truth, because of my witness and insights to the knowledge of God. And like I said, I have been persecuted also in collusion with the corruption and evils of the lawlessness and crimes of Vineland, New Jersey Police Department, cult-ridden Vineland, New Jersey Police Department, ridden by anti-theist atheists, some of which claim to be atheists and some which falsely claim to be Christian. So, of many different branches of all these false churches. So, yes, and I don't say that prejudiciously. I say that with insight, okay, and rightful judgment. So, which I can give a lot of reasons, but that's my focus right now. I am going to do videos on that. So, and give messages about that. So, I have done many writings on it. So, I'm going to go on from there. So the thing is, I have been persecuted because I will not believe that Jesus is God. Why? Because, well, I know Jesus, and I know the God who basically has anointed me in his wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and teaches me in a knowledge that is above all of these churches and other false religions and false teachings that is spread throughout humanity, that is corrupting the nations. Basically not only protecting, in their false doctrines, protecting and justifying the wicked of child rapists, pedophiles, and mainly woman abusers, okay, and abusers, period. Now, the thing is, they are sitting there claiming that I am abusive and I am evil because I'm speaking against their evil. Because I speak against the sex child trafficking, human trafficking, abusers, prostitution rings, like which is plagued in our Vineland Police Department, which is I deemed as rightfully as against their criminal practices of prostitution for promotion. Um, that was happening in the Vineland, New Jersey Police Department, taking bribes and using officers to persecute me, slander me, and then basically giving them a pat on the back, promoting them or making and giving them these promises and all these things or whatever, and praising them, exalting them, promoting them in either into position or promoting them, flaunting them around Vineland. To also to cover up their tyrannical, evil, criminal, gang-like practices, and persecution against not only Christian women with intelligence, high intelligence, with insight, because I see what they are doing and what is going on. But also basically just because somebody is a woman and speaks out against domestic violence, because it is a threat, okay, to expose the evil, corruption in government, in churches and in police departments. And because the one who speaks out against domestic violence, of every form, um, exposes the behavior of the domestic violence abuser among police, among church leaders and the church members, and so they are threatening to be defensive to protect their evil. Now, I just want to let you know, I'm not speaking against people being against what is threatening, okay? But the thing is, knowledge is a threat to evil. Okay, knowledge and practice what is right against evil, and evil is a threat to what is good. Okay, so they like to play on my words, and this is another manipulation tactic that they use, because I will sit there and like, oh well, they're criminally explaining a crime of their intimidation and threats using evil against me, and then they sit there and try to abuse our Bible, or they use a forged false Bible, and sit there and justify their evil, wicked crimes. I'm sorry. Just because you find a forged, evil, false Bible that justifies your evil and your false rules that are against God's laws, that is not God's laws, does not make it authoritative or mean that you're allowed to practice it. Sorry. Just like the people of the Quran, just because you believe it and it's written in a book, doesn't mean you're allowed to practice it. So their forged false Bibles is just as evil as the Quran, by the way. It's just a distortion and perversion of the holy word of God and laws of God. Okay, trying to basically assert their own criminal evils against humanity. So the thing is that yeah, so I'm going to recap it back again. And the thing is, like I said, when I was being attacked, and everybody wanted to cover up all the evil, heinous crimes committed against me, which is like one woman in a war fighting ISIS. Okay, now you can sit there and say, well, if I was fighting ISIS, I'd probably be dead, I'd be beheaded, whatever the case may be at the time. But just because they have not basically literally murdered my body, okay, does not mean that their murderous lies, persecution, and the trauma and severe trauma and torture that they have inflicted on me is not just as heinous. I have been a victim of domestic violence and all kinds of heinous torture. Okay, even kidnapped and raped as a child by a stranger when I was 14 years old, and it covered up by, well, who? Church people. To ignore and avoid, which they're brainwashed to do, ignore and avoid anything that basically is a witness against sexual abuse, domestic violence, okay, or evils, or whatever the case may be. Yes, these churches brainwash their congregants only to echo lies against anybody who speaks against the evils of mainly the evils of the churches mainly protect pedophiles. Not only do churches protect pedophiles, exalt them, and attack their victims with all their false rules that is against God's laws, but they create them. They create domestic violence abusers. They create persecution against women, persecution against anybody who speaks a holy truth against their evil. This is what these churches are doing. This is why the Vineland Police are using the churches. So, I'm going on with, okay, let me just reflect on, okay, so what happened was, when I being persecuted, everybody wanted to cover up all the crimes that they were committing against me, right? My abuser, Don Surveys, the police who wanted to cover up, well, the abuses of what they were protecting for generations. Like, I mean, these government officials have been protecting these pedophiles and domestic violence abusers for generations. So it didn't start in my life. It didn't start with me. But I am a witness against it. So they make every effort to silence me. Okay? So telling me I'm not allowed to speak because I'm a woman. Telling me that I'm not allowed to speak against them because they claim to be Christian. First of all, the knowledge of truth that speaks against evil, such as myself, makes me the Christian. And your practice of evil makes you the evil one and not Christian and unbeliever. So, the thing is I'm going to go on. So the thing is everybody wanted to cover up the crimes that they were committing against me. So there was a clash that happened in City of Vineland, New Jersey, where police were trying to cover up the abuses they did to me, committing crimes against me, and silence me for being a victim of domestic violence. The Church of Vineland First Church of Nazarene, now they're calling themselves Vineland Nazarene Church, also wanted to be in defense and protect and cover up the abuses that they were doing to me. Okay? My domestic violence abuser, Don Surveys, wanted to cover up all the abuses and the kidnapping and rape and monstrosities that he did to me. Okay? So, they were all making every effort to silence me. So, the cult that I grew up with, the Vineland Police, basically are brainwashed. All right? Now, I spoke against, I'm going to jump into this, my principal, so it's not too far late into the video. So they were all trying to defend and protect each other's evils, which is of their own. Because the evil person, they all have the same evils. So, the thing is this is a problem in humanity, where their mindset is, and why a majority of humanity is so evil. Their brainwashing program. Yes, domestic violence abusers are not born, they are created. Psychopaths are not born, they are created. Okay? So, as falsely claimed. Sorry. But, alright, hold on. That's like itching me, so there's a hair clung to me. Alright. So, hold on, sorry. I don't know what, alright. The hair's clinging to me. Alright, so the thing is that, okay, in regards to the Vineland, New Jersey Police Department, they attacked me and my children. I basically was the only protector, supporter, teacher, I mean, everything to my children, which I was healing, and they wanted to also interfere with that. Okay? They attacked my children in school. And there's a lot of strange things that were happening, that the Vineland Police were actually taunting me and my children. mocking me. They know, the Vineland Police knows that my children were kidnapped by a cult. Okay, cult members of Russell pulling their daughters of Glenn Green and perpetrator, pedophile protector Francis Nyhammer. Um, the the dad, I'm just going to throw this in there real quick. The dad who basically, whose name was Alfred Nyhammer, he was very, very kind. He was very naive. So he was gullible. He believed everything that they said. They deceived him. Very, very like kind and gentle, I mean, in demeanor, or whatever. And they also deceived him and lied to him. But the perpetrators of the monster Glenn Green, Russell Poulin, I believe he also deceived and lied to his wife. I believe she was kept ignorant, and she was lied to by their own daughter and her husband, the perpetrator Glenn Green, who was convicted for pedophilia, sexual abuse, or whatever, which, mind you, he molested a number of children, so a large number of children. There was actually one I witnessed around like 8, 9 years old, and I was actually, okay, I'm going to make another video about that, but I did talk a little bit about him or whatever, but there was also another child who actually came up to me at some event or whatever. I'm sorry, I wasn't 8, I was 8 in Georgia. 9, 10 years old, who came up to me and said she was scared of Glenn Green or whatever because he touches her or what have you. And I just remember that, I don't know who she was, but she had this very long, like wavy, it actually just went like this, long blonde hair, like a golden, blonde hair. And it was at an event. And I remember, telling her that, he held me up against the wall. I'm scared of him. And so, there was, he basically molested my sister, in which I was persecuted for being a witness and telling somebody, in which they went on and said, oh, she's looking for attention. She has a dirty mind. And the thing is, this is how they do it. And the thing is, that's still being portrayed in the same mentality today, even in the Vineland Police Department, for speaking. Now, I have basically gotten extreme, basically talking about the vulgarity, but I'm talking about even before that, when I spoke against, in a more, I don't want to say lighter way, like a less harsh way, where I was speaking against like different immoral acts or crimes that were committed against me, and spoke against like the harassment or whatever, and it was like their response is the exact same. Oh, she's seeking attention, or she's got a dirty mind, or, oh, and because I'm speaking against their vulgarity, which I basically made it more extreme, okay, to show them that they're evil, okay, they be, oh, she has a dirty mind for me speaking against their filthy, dirty, vulgar actions that I don't practice. So their responses are exactly the same as pedophiles trying to silence their victim. The Vineland, New Jersey Police Department uses, and deliberately, knowingly uses, the same tactics to silence victims of domestic violence and, sexually abused children or whatever. They use the same tactics to silence any witnesses and victims against them. The same tactics as pedophiles. And I have told them that. So they said they're claiming I have, you accuse me of this, or whatever, and, all these other things. I said, stop lying like a pedophile. So, the thing is that, hold on. So, The thing is that they have the same defenses to cover up their dirty little secrets, okay, their perversion, as a pedophile. Okay, so ugh, the thing is that oh, I hope that didn't close out. All right, so my screen just went out. All right, so the thing is that the a perpetrator, their former chief caught his body, in which as soon as he was out, they basically made an excuse. Oh, well, he doesn't work here anymore, to basically refuse me from reporting crimes, by the way. So it does not basically eliminate, as they try to cover it up, as they run their police department like a pedophile ring. Okay, so while they're slandering me continuously, and they've been slandering me continuously for 20 years, the Vineland, New Jersey Police Department. So the Vineland, New Jersey Police Department willingly use all these tactics and use the churches to reinstate or to enforce these perversion of brainwashing tactics that is anti-Christian, is against Christianity, and basically trying to force to brainwash not only victims to refuse their rights, but also police. Okay? A number of years ago, I had a conversation and told who was formerly a Lieutenant Lene Bowers, the brainwashing tactics that were being used, refusing my rights, not only by police, but by the churches. Okay, falsely claiming that I'm not allowed to judge. If I basically speak against somebody bullying me, abusing me, and I confront it and speak against it, they claim that, oh, you're arguing, oh, well, it's not up for debate, as they're basically mentally abusing me and slandering me, making up all kinds of lies about me. And if I correct them, they basically, oh, it's not up for debate, oh, well, you're trying to argue, start an argument, start problems, while they're slandering me. So as they're abusing me, threatening me, intimidating me, criminally, okay, with their unlawful slander, as they went around claiming, sitting there trying to make these rules of no gossiping, which is not Christian, is against Christianity. Like I said, Christianity is against anything that is evil, unlawful, wrong, or whatever. That's what Christianity is. So sitting there like these false churches go around claiming, oh, you're Christian, so you're allowed to believe whatever you want to believe, which you're trying to cover up also by the Calvary Chapel, which they actually claimed that they're allowed to practice whatever they practice because they claim that they're Christian. That's not how Christianity works. Christianity is that what is good and right against anything that is evil. That's what Christianity is. So, the thing is, there are many people claiming to be Christian, okay, that are not Christian, and there are a lot of people claiming that they're not Christian or against Christianity, based on a false idea what Christianity is, that actually may be speaking truth, though, because they are misinformed about what Christianity is because of the false leaders, claiming that, but they can sit there and claim, well, they have, from my experience and my witness, that they actually speak against Christianity because they're against what is right, okay? Or they are misinformed because they have a false idea of Christianity, so they're speaking right against what is wrong. They may be claiming to be atheists speaking right against what is wrong, because they're misled to believe what Christianity is, claiming that wrong is Christianity. Okay, so it doesn't matter what you call it. You can call it, okay, whatever's good. If you believe in what is ever good, you practice whatever is right and good. That's Christianity. So if somebody claims they may have the error of the false labeling, okay, but if your desire is for what is right, just, and good, and you speak what is right, just, and good, claiming to be atheist, which is still an error, okay, but it's not so much about the labels, okay, like me claiming to be Christian does not make me Christian. Okay, me claiming to believe in Christ Jesus does not make me Christian or a believer in God. Me claiming God does not make me a believer in God. And then this is how these churches practice. Okay, they're trying to cover that up, by the way. As I've been speaking against those false principles for many years as they use God's name in vain. So they're trying to cover up, they're copying my teachings in Calvary Chapel as they're still using God's name in vain, by the way, and lying. And as I'm teaching law, they're basically claiming and pretending again, for like the 10th, 20th time, that they're speaking in support of the law. And then, of course, they've been doing this for years. We're, speaking against the law, and law is basically laws of God is anything that is just, true, and right, period. So, nobody owns Christianity. So, they're trying to, my persecutors, who are slandering me, and trying to misuse and abuse scripture that I taught, that, the sun and the rain, like, shine on, the just and the unjust, basically is something that I actually used, in regards to, actually a principle regarding, like, jails and prisons or whatever. So, I'm not gonna go on that so far yet, so that's not my focus. So, that was a number of years ago. They basically are misusing that as to justify their evils and their crimes committed against me. This is how they do it. They actually use the word of God in vain to basically try to justify their evils. First of all, justifying your evils is an abomination against God. I do not justify, like, any wrong that I've ever done, ever. So, the thing is, that's what they do. It's kind of like, those who falsely claim to be Christian, who basically accepted the false version of Jesus Christ, the atheist false version of Jesus Christ, or to say the Antichrist, who falsely claim that you're justified if you believe that Jesus died on the cross and, and saved you, and believe that you're forgiven or whatever. And so, but they believe in a false version of Jesus Christ that justifies their evils as they continue to persecute me. So, Jesus, crucifixion or teachings never does any such thing. Matter of fact, it's completely against it. So, the thing is that, how do I say this? Okay, so I'm going to go back. The thing is that, this is what a lot, why there's like so many abominations and evil among these churches, by the way. So they attract them, and it's just like, they don't make any judgments or anything. They brainwash the people. No judging, no gossiping, no finding fault, no criticizing, which is all not only all unconstitutional. Refusal of people's rights, but it is un-Christian. It is not Christian. Sorry. I need water. My water's empty. So, the thing is that, those rules are against Christianity, basically against your rights, and this is what I explained to the Vineland Police. Now, if this is the thing, when I taught the Vineland Police these things, and I'm roughly estimating it was about 10 years ago, give or take a couple years or whatever. So I had a conversation as I was being persecuted and crimes being committed against me by Vineland Police, reporting Vineland Police, and using the churches to commit crimes against me, and use police to commit crimes against me. This was the cult leader of the Nazarene church who were persecuting me, committing hate crimes against me, and slandering me, as they have been doing for many, many, many years, over 15 years, continuously, on a weekly basis, nonstop. They attacked my children, destroyed my children, and basically trying to implant false knowledge into my children's minds. They attacked them in school. I mean, it was so bad that they had these teachers have my daughter participate in this little private skit as a teenager. And I believe the thing is, I did not find the paper until I helped her clean their room after she graduated. I did not know about it. Apparently, they told my daughter not to tell me. But they had her participate in this skit, basically, you know, talking about having multiple boyfriends. Not against it, not about, you know, against, like, you know, peer, like, pressure and, like, sexual, you know, like, abuse and all these other things or whatever. I'm talking about having them play out about defending having multiple boyfriends. So I help clean their room, and I sit there and pick up a piece of paper, and I read it, and I'm like, what is this? So, oh, they just had us do a skit. It was just a skit or whatever. Don't worry about it or whatever. And she takes it from me. And so I tried to talk to her about it. The thing is, they kept enforcing and telling my daughter, who, mind you, my children, they're covering up my children being kidnapped by a cult. Kidnapped by Glenn Green, Russell Poulin, and Francis Nyhammer, who kidnapped my children. And basically, they continuously, the Vineland Police Department continuously tried to have, did have, like, judges, prosecutors, and lawyers, and the police or whatever, sitting there trying to reinforce the pedophile intimidation, convincing my children not to tell me. They're persecuting me and doing this over and over and over and over for years, enforcing, like, all these false indoctrinations. A lot of them I did not even, like, find until, like, a year later, or after she graduated. During the school, okay, I'm going to go into a whole nother story about that. But the thing is that they try to sit there and brainwash my daughter into falsely believing false knowledge, claiming that, you know, if somebody judges or whatever, you're the same, to keep her from judging against abuse. Brainwashing her because the Vineland Police protected my abuser. The cult abuse of what I grew up with, protected my abuser, imprisoned me to him to keep me silent under their oppression. So the thing is that they had all these rules and tried to reinforce all these rules to brainwash my daughter. They were mainly attacking her in school. So, they were attacking my beliefs, me being Christian, and the knowledge that I taught my children, and the knowledge that I taught my children, again, to protect themselves against pedophiles and all these things. They basically stripped down their minds and reprogrammed them, and basically, well, sinful, lawless, immoral acts or whatever, and things like that. Told them not to listen to me. And basically teaching my son the shame of being a woman, by the way, which you're basically still manipulating and trying to reinforce and get my persecutors, who are undiscerning, don't know what they're talking about or whatever, to sit there and basically condemn and play on words, me being a woman. They only use ignorant, uninsightful women that they promote to cover up their misogyny, unjust discrimination against women, and basically using forged Bibles, telling me I have to submit to my rapist, okay, using torturous things. They use my trauma and PTSD, to basically torture me, psychologically, claiming their lies and their abominations and their immoral, grotesque, foul things, and basically crimes are committing against me as punishment by God, by the way. for breaking their lawless, false laws, for me speaking against laws and justice against their immorality and their crimes, by the way. So the thing is, they continuously commit hate crimes against me, scapegoating me, falsely accusing me of what I do not do and what I rightly accuse them of. They've had me jailed and arrested and false reports written on me, slandering reports. I just actually got a report with false accusations I never even knew about. Okay, and to slander me, to make me out to be a person that I am not. The thing is that they condemned me for basically keeping and teaching the Ten Commandments. So, which is my religion, by the way. Anything that is just, true, and right and lawful. What is true justice, not what you claim your false abominations are, that you're falsely calling justice and law. Like Muhammad, who sits there and claims raping women is basically of justice. This is their mentality, by the way. Okay? And, so the thing is, I'm going to recap and we'll go back, okay, to that of Chief Cottaspotty, who deliberately used the churches to deliberately brainwash the Vineland Police. I mean, a lot of them were like accepting and willing because they can use anti-Christian, basically anti-law, use crime against people to refuse people's rights and silence the victims. Okay, and anti-constitutional, recruiting people to the churches, mainly the fraudulent who call themselves Pentecostal, falsely claiming to be Christian, and they are not. And because I want to speak in a gibberish speech, this is almost an hour, so I'm actually going to start with this. I'm going to start this in the beginning of part 2, but they actually use the Pentecostal cults who are not Christian. They have no relation to what is in our Bible, but they're using the Pentecostal church cult to cover up that I wound up basically speaking a gibberish speech, which is just random words that are nonsensical words that come out caused by trauma and traumatic brain injury and psychological torture caused by the abuses of the Raymond Church Vineland Police, my abuser, and use these other churches to falsely claim that, it's of God and it's Christian or whatever, which the fraudulent Pentecostals were actually created to cover up the damages and abuse and persecution by the Wesleyan and Catholic churches, to cover up the result of people while speaking a gibberish speech caused, like I said, by psychological torture and abuse, persecution. So the thing is that they were also using the churches to convince police that you're not out to gossip, but you find fault, doubt them. Okay, they try to abuse the Bible, claiming that if you doubt them or whatever, you're sinning against God. That's not what is in our Bible, by the way. They may basically use forged false Bibles, but the thing is, the Vineland, New Jersey Police Department Chief Cottaspotty willingly and knowingly use me speaking against brainwashing tactics used to silence victims. Okay, and basically made these rules in the Vineland Police Department so people do not speak against the heinous crimes, not only that of other officers, but so victims of domestic violence cannot speak against. So they have this unjustifiable, unconstitutional, false rule to sit there and claim I'm not allowed to make a report and claim I'm not Christian if I speak against their heinous crimes committed against me. So, I I'm actually going to end this because it's 59 minutes and 30 seconds, so I'm going to start off with that on a part 2.